What's up? You're watching super producer Bosko on Warning TV.
You're watching Warning TV, coming to you from the east side. We are here with Bosko with a K. It's good to know he's got a K in his name because if you use C, you won't get anything. Alright, well my name is Celeste Creel and I am here with very well known and very talented producer Bosko
Thank you.
at Bombay Digital Studios. So this man has a very extensive resume, and we're going to get into that because you have a great background. You've worked with some very well-known names and talent, and you are like an emerging artist yourself.
That's true.
A very talented artist and very talented musician.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your background, though, first.
Okay.
So you were born in Ghana, Africa.
Yes. I didn't spend a lot of time there, but my parents met in Accra, Ghana, and I was there probably all of a couple of months. But I've been back, since, and of course I have that background with my dad being from the northern part of Ghana, so all the culture that comes with that, and he's tried to expose me to the music and whatnot. But anyway, we came over from Africa and moved to Portland, Oregon, a little sleepy town in the Northwest.
Yeah.
And I grew up there, so that's kind of like, people ask me where I'm from, I say Portland, Oregon, because that's where I developed most of my character, and most of my family and friends are in Portland.
You started Just Family Records there, right?
Totally. My best friend and business partner, Cool Nuts. People always laugh when I say Cool Nuts. We grew up together, started from kindergarten and started rapping, rapping and breakdancing really in the basement of my mom's house. Moved on to the, basketball, courts. When I say basketball, we broke dance on the basketball courts. And eventually, I won a set of turntables in the breakdancing contest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Very cool.
That was kind of like the beginning or the genesis of my whole DJing career. And I started DJing. We're talking, we're talking middle school right now too.
Okay.
And so I was DJing little house parties around the neighborhood. Made $50 here, $50 there. Bought my second turntable or whatever, a mixer, a 4-track. Then a drum machine, and pretty soon I was producing or making beats for the kids in the neighborhood, to rap over. We all sit in the basement with the microphone, rapping over beats and whatnot, waiting for the newest record to come out, and it just kind of developed from there.
Very organic beginnings.
Yeah, because growing up in Portland, there's no such thing as a music producer in Portland. At least in my circle, there's no such thing as a professional recording artist. It's just you just love music, and you see the people on TV, and you want to emulate what they're doing, and that's just how it started.
Now, did you train at all specifically on instruments?
Oh yeah,
when you were younger?
totally. I come from a very musical family. My mother played French horn. My grandmother played trumpet. My grandfather played piano and sung. My great grandfather had a what is it called? A big band in Portland, Oregon. And so
A big band?
yeah,
What's that?
it's like Glenn Miller and all the bands with the horns.
We're big
talking,
band.
Yeah, we're talking 40s or 30s or whenever that was.
Oh.
But anyway, he played every night, and a big band played trumpet, and so it was all in my family. I sung in church and whatnot.
So it wasn't just your MTV raps then?
Nah, I was totally surrounded by music. Listened to Marvin Gaye. My mom was like a big soul music fan, so I heard all that growing up. But of course, as a kid, you want to get away from what your parents are doing. So I got into all the rap music and the breakdance.
But now, listening to that Fire, your current album, there are a couple songs on there where I almost heard a little bit of like French music influence, just a snippet of it. I mean, it sounded as though you have a little bit of old school mixed in.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
old school soul.
When you grow up, listening to something, it's in your blood. You can't really get it out of there. And I love the old school. I mean, I would say my favorite artists of all time are probably Stevie Wonder and Prince. You know, as much as I love hip hop, yeah, but those are my favorites. So.
So in mixing like hip hop and soul, which is what you're doing right now,
yeah,
is that something you always knew that you would do, or like how did you develop your own style with working with all these artists? Did you always have your own style, or?
I think one of the things that helped me develop my style, hip hop is really based on sampling. Right. You know, it was, you know, came from the two turntables. The two turntables is somebody else's music that you're rapping over, so it's totally based on sampling. But when I grew up, I kind of there was also the ethics in hip hop is you don't steal someone else's lyrics or whatever. And I was a producer, so I was like, oh, well, I don't want to steal anybody else's music, so I'm going to write my own stuff. And I think because of that thinking, I started doing original music from the start. Like, even though I may have been influenced, I didn't play anybody else's melodies over. So because of that, I think I'm different than a lot of producers in the sense that almost everything that I do is original.
Right. Yes.
I may listen to a record and take a feeling from it, take the orchestration. You know, I might like the way that the bass sounds, but in terms of like stealing the melody and all that, I never really like to do that. So
it sounds very organic. Like your lyrics and your melody sound completely like one, not contrived at all. Like you could just do it without, you know, like you don't try to, oh, maybe I should bring it up a notch here. You just go with it, and it all makes sense.
It's crazy. It's just really developed over time, you know. But melody is something that always has come really easily to me. I think it's from playing trumpet, you know, because, you know, of course, trumpet is the melody instrument in the band. I played in jazz bands and whatnot, and then just loving to sing, you know. It just, I don't know where it comes from, but I hear music and it just comes right out. The melody is like no problem.
So your influences come from music? Do they come from any other like completely abstract sources? Like, what are your hobbies and interests that you think it, you know, artistically it might spill over?
Well, I mean, other than of course being into hip hop, I'm like a total tech head. You know, I love all the latest gadgets, and I've always got the newest phone or the, you know, the Bluetooth headset. I'm always on the internet looking up what the latest technology is.
Do you MySpace?
You know, that's one thing that you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I think MySpace is just a dating, it's really just a dating website in disguise.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. If someone is just going to get into producing and say they have a lot to learn, do you think it's a good idea for them to like put themselves all over the internet? Like, how would you advise someone to get started right now?
Well, I mean, the most important thing is to work on your craft, of course. The main thing that people miss about being a producer is you have to produce. And it seems, you know, it seems obvious, but you got to produce. You know, people will make 5 beats, you know, and they're like, oh, I'm a producer. No, you should be making a beat, you know, every day and listening to what's out there. You know, I'm a real competitor. I like to, you know, compete. I've competed in basketball and sports and track and school, and I feel the same way about music. I hear a track on the radio and it's hot, and I'm like, I can do something, you know, just as good as that. I can get in the studio and come up with something, and not in a negative way, but just in a like I hear something that's, you know, that's hot, and I'm like, I want to try to do something, you know, just as good. So as a producer coming up, you have to be able to listen to the best, you know, go back in history, listen to the best, and shoot for that bar. And if you're not there yet, that means you need to work. I mean, maybe you need to take piano lessons, maybe you need to take singing lessons, maybe you need to learn how to play the drums, or, you know.
You know, there's a lot of music out there, and it's not so, high art is not really easy to come by. People don't really know what it is anymore. Something can just completely blow up, and it can become popular and stuck in your head. But that doesn't mean that it comes from like a real organic place where someone also is trained at the same time. That's a hard combination. I think that you really found that combination, though. Your stuff is really fun. It gets in your head, but it doesn't let you down artistically.
Thank you. I think it's a misconception. People believe that, oh, if I learn, you know, if I learn how to play an instrument, it's going to take away from my creativity or my street edge or whatever. But I think there's like different levels of education in music. There's that level where okay, maybe you don't know anything. Then there's a level where you know a little bit, and you can kind of maybe do one style. But if you get really good, you can, if somebody wants a country tune, I can play a country tune. If somebody wants a jazz record, I can make a jazz record.
You know the roots of all of these different genres of music.
Right. If you really truly understand music, you're not limited by more knowledge. It's just like, if you're better educated and you know more words, then you should know what words to use in what situation. You're talking to somebody. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Wonderful. You're fun to talk to. Well,
Thank you.
let's see. I have a couple questions about the transition from Portland to LA. Because your first break, according to your bio, is getting to write for like a theme song for, was it Fox?
Yeah, Live in Color, actually.
That was, wonderful.
Yeah,
okay, so that's fun. You must have, been excited about that opportunity.
Oh, man.
That's not really cheesy. That's fun.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge. And I kind of, lucked in. I didn't have anything really big that I had done in the past. And I met the guy who was, on Live in Color, there was a DJ, SW1 or whatever. But he wasn't really the DJ. There's a guy behind the scenes that was actually doing the scratching.
Really?
Yeah, so
It just
it was TV,
folks, man.
So anyway, he and I became friends. We were working on some music, and he found out they needed a new version of the theme song. He's like, "Yo, help me out with the theme song." So we jumped in the studio and came up with some stuff, mixed some jazz records in there, came up with a new beat, and then I put this big laugh at the beginning. I had never done any TV. Yeah, it's crazy, I don't even want to do it. I'm embarrassed, but anyway, I put this huge laugh at the beginning of the...
come on, do the laugh.
All right. That's the laugh.
That's hilarious.
And,
oh my God. Do you guys remember that from Living Color?
So anyway...
That's so fun.
I started the record off with that laugh, and from as soon as they heard that laugh, they were hooked, and they loved it, and that was my first big break, and I made some good money, still making some money off of that.
All right.
And it helped me, buy some studio equipment and really get my foot in the door in the music
Was
industry.
it just smooth sailing after that? Describe some of the hard knocks that you've had, because that's a great opportunity. You'd think that after that everything would just flow, but
No.
you're still...
No. I don't think there's no overnight success. There's no, I think the only way you get smooth sailing in the music business is if you have a relative or something that can kind of guide you. And like I said, growing up in Portland, I didn't even know that there was such thing as a producer, let alone having a relative that could pull me through. So, so I got that deal. Then I started things did really start popping after that. I started working with E40 back then. I started working with everybody from the Bay, the Loonies, Richie Rich, Spice One, and it was all kind of word of mouth. One person would hear some music and yo, you need to go over to Bosko. He's got that new stuff.
Did you travel up to the Bay Area at all?
It's funny. People still to this day think I'm from the Bay. They think I live in the Bay. But nah, it was at the time when the Bay was really taking off, and all of the Bay Area artists were trying to get out of the Bay to come to Los Angeles to get record deals, because they had their music and it was blowing up, but they couldn't really, the Bay doesn't really have a music industry. Yeah, so it was right here. We did all the records right here. It was actually not in this particular room, but I had another room at the time that was smaller. E40 would be laid out on the studio till 7, 10 a.m. drinking Rossi, passed out, writing lyrics, and I'd be making the beats, and we just made it happen.
Now, when you work with these artists, you've worked with so many people, Kanye West, Tupac, you've worked with all these record labels too. Do they come to you is there just a meeting of minds, or does one person really know exactly what they want from the other person, or what draws you together with them?
Well, most of the time the artist is already familiar with what I've done. I would say E40 has been getting that project and the relationship that I have with E40 has really opened the doors to a lot of stuff because artists will be E40 fans, and so then when I meet them, they're like, oh, yo, let me hear some of your music. But a lot of times, like the stuff that I do for E40 is E40 music. It's like he's got his own sound, and I give him more of that. So a lot of times they're surprised when they come over and actually hear that I have like a wide range of music, and so then it's kind of organic at that point where I'm listening to where they are as artists and trying to figure out, okay, what music do I have that can take them to the next level, and then of course their personal taste, whatever they hear, but it's almost always an artist to artist thing, and it's rarely like an executive kind of thing. It's like it's always like I have meetings with A&Rs all the time. You know, that's funny because this is actually E40 calling. No. I'm not making this up. He's not making it up. Yeah, but I'm not gonna answer because this is an important interview. I'll call him back. Okay, I shouldn't flash it. Anyway, so yeah, the A&Rs, you know, they'll hook us up sometimes, but you know, the artist usually has a different. If there's like a big competition between A&Rs, they want to come up with that next record for the artist, but the artist doesn't want the A&R to have anything to do with his record. So there's this tug of war, and so I usually try to stay on the artist side.
Yeah, develop that relationship. Right?
Yeah,
that's what's important. It makes the best music too.
Right. The A&R's not coming in the studio. It's you know, it's us and then making it happen.
So also briefly tell us about your radio show. What's it been like?
Oh, well, it's that's another thing that kind of developed organically. DJ Feli Fell, who's like the biggest radio DJ in Los Angeles and on the West.
Is there a funny story with his name?
Feli Fell. You know, there probably is.
It
there
just
has
sounds
to be.
like there must be.
But I don't know.
Okay.
Or he's probably told me and I forgot.
Make it up in my mind.
Yeah, think of something good. Maybe you can tell your story afterward. But anyway, so we were, you know, I play this thing called the Talk Box.
Yes, I want to know about the Talk Box.
It's like Roger Troutman. It's like a computer voice. It's like computer love and more bounce to the ounce. And you know, and I'm one of the few people that's really, you know, kind of mastered that. And me and Phil were just talking one day. I was like, I wonder what it would sound like if we did some of that live on the air. I was like, I don't know. Try it out. So I brought the talk box up to the radio station, and he was, you know, DJing live, and I just started freestyling over the records, you know. So maybe he'll play whatever the latest Jay-Z record or whatever, and I'll be, you know, ad-libbing, singing along in the chorus. We'll be talking, you know, when he does the talk breaks, talking back and forth, and I'm using the talk box, the Roger Troutman voice. And I mean, people were calling in. The program director stopped by. He heard it on the air. He's like, "Oh, this is hot. You need to do this more." So I just started going up there every Wednesday.
So essentially you're DJing on the radio.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of like an on-air personality. Feli Fell, he's DJing live. Like he's on the mic, he's on the turntables, and I'm in the other room on the talk box, and we're just going back and forth, you know. He likes to freestyle like live on air, like rap freestyle. So he might be freestyling, and I'll, you know, come up with the chorus, like ad-libbing right in the middle. It's cool, you know. We get a lot of good feedback on it, and it's fun, you know. It's a break because for the most part I'm in the studio, I'm not live. So
it's playtime.
Yeah, I'm just playing up there. That's all, you know. It's not fair that I get paid for it. It's just yeah.
Wow, great. Let's see now. I'm not sure if there's anything else.
That's Power 106, LA.
Yeah, we do want to mention that.
Yeah, tune in Wednesday nights, Power 106, DJ Feli Fell Show.
Yes. Well, right. Okay, so tell us exactly what you're doing currently. You just came out with your own album. Tell us about that, and also I hear you're working with Nick Cannon, Kevin Furline. You've got a lot of artists you're still working with. It sounds like a lot on your plate right now.
Pretty busy right now, which is a good thing. I've been, like, the singing is kind of, I've always sung, but I really started developing it recently because the songs that certain songs I would write, I would come up with the track, and then I would come up with an idea for a hook, or even a whole song for myself. And almost every time I did that, an artist would hear it and say, "Oh, I want to use that song." You know, I might have 10 other beats, but the one with me singing on it is the one they picked because it had a concept already and they liked how my voice sounded.
Your voice is very nice, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. So I said, well, I got something here. Maybe I should just go ahead and do a solo record and really, push this.
So tell us about That Fire. That's your new solo album.
Right. Well, That Fire is in stores right now. It is a compilation. It's not quite like my solo album. It's more of like a producer record, but I have a couple of solo songs on there. I got records with Little John, DMX, E40, Truth Hurts, Bubba Sparks, and it's kind of a best of Bosko kind of record. It's like some of my favorite records that I produced. Not that have been released on others. It's all new material, but it's collaborations with some of my favorite artists, and you really get a taste of the different styles of production that I do, and you kind of get an intro into my album. There's a record called Coffee, and another record called Someone Else that are kind of what you'll hear on the Bosko solo album, which I'm working on right now. And man, check it out. Hit me up, tell me what you think. But I'm getting a lot of good feedback on it. Now, as far as other projects that I'm working on right now, a lot of things have developed from that album. Like there's a record on there called Just Effin'. I don't know. Little John heard that record and like just loved it off the bat. He's like, "Oh man, I love this record. I can't get it out of my head." And I didn't really know him before he heard that record. And he started calling me and was like inviting me to come down to Atlanta and work. And so we ended up doing another version of that record on E40's album because he had just signed E40 at the time. So and something similar happened with a record called She's Mine. Nick Cannon heard that record, it was a Bosko record. He's like, "Yo, that's a hit record. I want to do something on there." So we ended up doing a remix of She's Mine for his record. So a lot of things kind of came out of that project and introduced me into some other situations. So now, like I said, me and Little John have a really good relationship. We've been putting some stuff together for his album and for his artists on his label, like Little Scrappy, O'Hagan. Now Nick Cannon and I have a really good relationship. We're working on some stuff for his new record. I'm working on Kevin Federline. Well, I just finished Kevin Federline's record. I did the first single, which is called Privilege. We did The Tonight Show last week. We did Tyra Banks last week. So we're doing all these TV appearances. I did a record with Britney Spears. Basically, of course, with Kevin, and that was great. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Like I just did something with Trick Daddy and Game, a record with T-Pain. There's all kinds of stuff that kind of are happening right now, and it's a good time. And I think you'll be hearing a lot more from me next year.
I think we will, definitely. Sounds like you also are awesome at maintaining wonderful relationships with everybody you work with. They keep coming back for more.
Yeah. I mean, I just try to be fair with everybody and, treat people with respect and just have a good time, and enjoy the process. And, they come back. They come back.
So do you ever work with, like, unknowns, people that are not signed? Do you scout for them? If someone wanted to use this amazing facility that you have here, would they have any access to it, or how would that work?
Well, we're always looking for the next new talent. Right now, I'm because I have so many things going on. I'm not quite as actively looking as I have been in the past. But as soon as I finish my record, and actually while I'm finished, like I'm looking for a female artist that can kind of compliment me while I'm doing, singing backgrounds for me, maybe go on tour with me. So, I got my ear to the street. You can hit us on the website, www.bombayent.com, and, send us your music. We'll check it out.
Great.
Hmm.
Warning TV has a lot of independent artists that post their music through us. Do you have any advice for these up and coming artists?
Wow. I think the advice that I would have is kind of similar to my advice for producers is you got to listen to what's out there and take a realistic assessment of where you are as an artist. You know, some people, they'll put together a record and they'll send it in, and they're singing, but all the notes are out of tune, and the production sounds like it was on a Casio or something, and it's okay to start there, but don't feel like you're done. You got to go back in the
Right.
studio and work on your craft, learn from somebody who's established. Take some lessons, do some research. You gotta
It
educate.
shows that you've worked on your craft,
Right.
basically. So you
Yeah.
have to prove yourself, essentially.
Yeah, it's not easy. It looks
Yeah.
easy on TV, and you might hear one record that breaks through, that blows up, where the artist maybe isn't the best singer or not the best rapper, or the production is, but
They
that
had a huge team behind them anyway, right?
and they kind of got lucky, and you
Right.
can't count on being lucky. It's much better to work on your craft and be the best that you can be. So that would be my biggest advice. Just work on your craft, and then just stay at it. Make more songs. Don't stop at one song or 5 songs or 10 songs.
Right.
Be like Tupac. He's got like 1,000 or 2,000
Right.
songs. He's got
Keep making records.
albums until
Yeah.
2050 or something. So that's the way to do it.
Can you give us any thoughts or comments on the session when Baby Bash was here recording Mamacita?
Yeah, that was a kind of a crazy session because I didn't, it kind of caught me by surprise. I've been working with Bash for years, but the song was kind of an afterthought with Mamacita. He came, he was like, oh, I got this cool idea, and he had a friend that sang it, and he demoed some of the lyrics, and then I was actually, the next time I heard the song was at Power 106 on the radio, and I was up there with Felly, and he spun it, and I was like, oh, like, that sounds familiar. Oh, that's the Baby Bash record. And he's like, he did that song in my studio like a month ago, and it was all over the radio, and I mean, a big record for Bash. It was a great record. So he has some magic over here, and I think that either that day or the next day or something, we came up with another song for Bash that I actually produced and sung the hook on, called Miracle, and we did that Miracle record, and it ended up helping him get a deal on another label. Like Clive Davis heard the song and loved it, and flew Bash out to New York, and it's probably going to be his first single on his next album. So that was like a really cool time.
Yeah, that's neat. Never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So look out for Rodney Ray all day. You can plug in. So you have an event coming up on Halloween. I'd like to hear a little more about that. What's that about?
Well, actually, we're doing a big Halloween party with Kiss FM, which is the biggest station in Los Angeles, and we're gonna get on stage. I'm actually performing twice. Kevin and I are gonna get on stage in costume, and Kevin Federline is gonna host part of the party. It's gonna be like a huge costume party up and down Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do the song "Privilege" live with him, and then I'm also gonna do that song I was talking about, "Miracle," with Baby Bash live. So I'm gonna kind of be bouncing around.
What are you gonna be? What are you gonna go
I
as?
don't know if I wanna give it away. I guess I can give it away. We're gonna do Eyes Wide Shut. So we're gonna all be in these masks with capes and black hoods.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's cool. The costumes are really hot.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna look forward to that. Then we'll probably see more of it on Halloween.
Yeah, come on, come join us.
Come on down. Is there anything you want to say to your fans?
Well, of course, thank you for being fans and listening to the music, and just know that I'm in the studio, giving you the best that I have, coming up with new music for you to dance to bump in your rides, to make love to, whatever you want to do to it. So you know, it's love going back and forth. So let's keep on doing it.
Thank you so much for watching. My name is Celeste Creel, and I've been here with a very talented Bosko from Bombay Digital Studios. This has been a Warning TV production.